What's going on, people? Welcome back.
Yes.
You know, we're finally back in this bitch. You know what I'm saying?
In the bleep.
That's what I'm saying. We got some upgrades. We got some smooth leather sofas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Doing the pod in style.
Yeah, big up Brent for this.
You know what I'm saying? Got some nice, I don't know what it's called, but it's like wall art or something. I don't know if you lot can see it, but there's a couple of quotes around and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
See there's been a huge upgrade.
Huge
Been
upgrade,
busy doing
fam.
this lockdown.
You know what I'm saying?
Love to hear it.
Yeah, man. So what's we saying?
What's good on your side, bro? How you been? It's been a long 4 months, hasn't it?
Right, fam, it feels long.
It's been a long 4 months. It feels
long. Like when people say it's been 4 months, like I'm like, raw, like it's actually been 4 months. You know what I'm saying? 4 months of no gym, fam.
Yeah, no gym, no Nando's,
brother.
No day parties,
brother.
It's been a long 4 months. There's a lot that's happened as well in the 4 months as well.
100%.
I can see that Shubbz has a trim.
Yeah, on Saturday, as soon as the lockdown was lifted for barbers, I was first in line.
Yeah, I don't know what you was doing with that twisting still.
Bro,
What twist?
You done one twist.
Yeah,
huh?
when my hair got to a certain level that I just had to try to see whether twists would work for me. But as you guys can see, I made the right decision.
Yep.
Yeah, no
We did.
word.
And that will be left in the archives.
But like,
Really and truly.
obviously, some people kind of. Do you know what it is? It looks as if like lockdown's been lifted, yeah, and then life has just got back to normal. Obviously,
so quickly.
with a few closures, like
Mhm.
fam, on Saturday, bro, there was parties galore, like even like at bars and stuff, like
Yeah.
1 meter distance, forget it. Like
Yeah.
it was non-existent. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like right now everyone just has to be like use their own discretion and just have to make sure they're protecting themselves and staying cautious because really and truly, like we all know why everything's been lifted and why basically to help the economy get back up because right now it's in tatters. So you can't really fall victim for kind of the capitalism like in this world going on and really be putting yourself at risk. So like although you're seeing everyone out there, you still got to make sure. Like I haven't like been to like the shopping centers or anything like that because to me, I already have September in my mind. Anyways, like I'm not in no rush. And anyways, as we all shop online, we all kind of are able to do stuff online. So I don't really see the need of going into huge public places because it's just not really worth it right now. Anyways, So, but have you been keeping track with like the numbers and everything really going on, or
what do you mean?
like
As in like the R number,
recoveries and stuff like that? Like,
yeah, not really. To be honest with you, not really. Like I've just been reading the Financial Times, so just seeing the state of the economy and just keeping track on like the direction of where the housing market's going. Do you know what I'm saying? Because obviously they're saying that, well, there's signs as if a next recession is upon us, and man's been saying this for time. Like, do you know what I'm saying? A recession's gonna come, and man's trying to reap the rewards of that recession. Sorry.
how does one reap the rewards?
Just gotta get in at the right time. Do you know what I'm saying? So
In terms of property stocks,
yeah, like
or...
for example, like with property, right? It will reach its lowest point, and it will be that point for a while until the market kind of becomes buoyant again. So you just have to basically just pick your timing.
So preparation mean opportunity.
Literally. So just been doing that, doing research into that. But yeah, like in terms of our numbers, death rates, like I should keep track of it, but it's too morbid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's also very heavy. I want, like, in my opinion, I can't be checking to see how many people are dying and seeing, because it's just like not something that you really want to put on your mental and really strain your mental health, in my opinion.
Do you feel different, kind of, better question is, how do you feel kind of with life going back to normal?
I feel like it's very rushed. But I don't know, man. It's just been a very long process. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me personally, I don't know if life can just go back to normal like that. I mean, I'm not planning to be in the office till like September. In terms of like just being as free as possible, I don't think personally I can do that till some time, because we've been so confined and restricted,
Mm.
and now it's like just go back out in the open. And there's been like I haven't really seen any dramatic change worthy of us being going back out in the open. If you know what I'm saying. So.
Cause I've spoken to some people, like some people feel like they feel anxious.
Yeah.
And their thing is they can't even really identify why they feel anxious about kind of life going back to normal. Even just going outside. Do you know what I mean? Like I've known some people who literally, bro, they stayed inside for like 2-3 months straight.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
that is very, very damaging in my opinion.
It's mad.
Like I remember during the times in lockdown and peak lockdown where like I wouldn't leave my house for like a week, but like I'll just be aggy, I'll just be annoyed, I'll just be grumpy. And like it's just so important to go out for walks and just get fresh air. And like even when you're walking, your mind's thinking and it's just kind of working, but you don't really want your mind just to be idle. You're just sitting at home, you're just losing it, if you know what I mean. So it's so important. Like staying indoors for 3 months is so scary. And luckily, I live with my family as well, so it's not like I'm just by myself. Like it's this whole 4 months has been super tough, and that's why everything we tried to put out there was just mainly on like making people feel good, if you know what I mean. Let them know that you feeling upset or you being anxious is totally normal because everyone's feeling that way, and just really trying to be that helping hand and guide for our listeners and audience during such a tough time, because everyone's going through, and a lot of people might feel as if like, especially those who don't have a job as well, do you know what I mean? Like a lot of people didn't really or got made redundant or didn't really get to experience furlough and anything like that because of not having a job before the lockdown. So there's just so much that's gone on that is just so important that doing everything we're doing just had to make sure that we're letting people know that you've been upset, you've been anxious, is totally fine. Like don't try and have everything figured out, because even companies are losing their heads right now. Do you know what I'm saying? So
I was gonna say that even like I know people who like had graduate schemes that lost their graduate schemes because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
So it's quite sad.
Yeah, that's the thing.
People at my work like had a new intake of grads, bro. They all got put on like it's called sabbatical, innit? Where you're still employed by the company, but you're just not getting paid. So from like it's rough. Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, I've heard law firms are offering like £5,000, £10,000 for graduates to just defer their training contracts and stuff. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, if I was a grad, I'll take that still.
It's just it's true. Like even me, I'm so lucky because they extended my contract.
During
the whole lockdown. So I'm just super happy because, boy, like I totally understand how difficult. Well, no, I haven't experienced it, and luckily I'm not because of the extension. But being kind of unemployed at this time must be quite tough for some people. But like, luckily, some opportunities are coming out. Some people are also discovering things that they've been kind of put to the side as well. So, like, during this lockdown, just always try to focus on the positives, or else because we just kind of lose it, just thinking on all the bad things going on around.
What I've realised, is that not everyone is made for the trenches, fam. Because, like, obviously, losing your job, not working, or not having that consistent income coming in, obviously you're forced out of your comfort zone to adapt and overcome. And the harsh reality is that not everyone has not everyone has been able to overcome their situation. And like there's some people who literally just kind of sat and just stewed in the issue. And there's some people obviously who kind of made the best out of the worst situation. So like for those who kind of haven't been able to kind of make the best out of the worst situation, you really got to ask yourself, like, are you ready for this? And a prime example is like, obviously, man's trying to start. I'm kind of starting something up. Well, I've started something of my own, innit? Yeah. And I said to my brother today, I was like, fam, this is stressing me out, fam. And he was like, you ready for it? I was like, what do you mean? I was like, of course I'm ready for this. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I said, it's stressing me, but I'll handle it. Do you know what I'm saying? And some people can't handle it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's a lot of training your mind and really building your resilience and your persistence. But also, it's also knowing that times and things always get better. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is kind of my kind of way when things do get difficult, just really seeing how far I've come. And that's why I'm always kind of preaching about practicing gratitude, because when you're actually reflecting on kind of all the good that's out there, you kind of now remember, like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, or this is why I'm currently in this time, but things always do get better. Things are going to get better, if you know what I'm saying. So just making sure that, like, obviously people deal with things different ways. A lot of people take it on and just go with it. A lot of people sit with it, but it's just kind of knowing that regardless of the position you're in, you've been in bad positions before and you got out of it. So you're just kind of holding on to that little bit of hope and faith that things will get better. You just got to keep on going. Do you know what I mean?
Can you blame them though?
Of course not. Of course not.
You know, they had that security and then a pandemic.
It is very challenging.
Anticipates that. Yeah.
It is very challenging, and I'm not one to say like everything's okay, like you should be fine, you should just be grateful, do you know what I mean? But in a sense of like understanding that during hard times, like what does help me is just kind of being grateful and just really like reflecting on what the little I have and trying to then see like what I could make out of it. And there's also like, this is what I've said to a lot of friends who are currently in this situation, is just really just work with time. Do you know what I mean? Like, just let time do its thing. Like, really and truly, right now, a lot of jobs are actually laying off staff rather than employing staff. So it's kind of out your control. Do you know what I mean? So it's just always making sure you're focusing on what's on your control and you leave time to do the rest. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't really, like, if a place you wanted to work is not employing, there's nothing you can do about it. Do you know what I mean? Which is very frustrating for those who really want to get into work and have been trying to get this opportunity. Do you know what I mean? But it's just knowing that it's out of your control, so you can't really change anything and just focus on what you have power over, whether that's sharpening your skills or whether that's rewriting your CV or maybe even applying for something voluntary, if you know what I mean. So, but what I also want to say is, for everyone who's kind of looking for job roles and everything, what really changed things around for me was when I started pitching myself as a solution to a problem. So, for example, I do marketing, and the way I kind of apply for jobs now is kind of like, I kind of try and see their pain points, if you know what I mean. Try and see where a company's struggling or whatever by just doing research and just trying to really dig deep. And for example, like if you go to a company's page and maybe they don't have the best IG profile, their website's a bit slow and stuff like that, I'm able to see that they don't have a good brand or good audience or good engaging posts and stuff like that. So I'm able to kind of go to them in a sense where, like, yes, I'm applying to work for you, but I'm also applying to show you what I can do for you and how I can bring more revenue. So when you're able to kind of flip the script, you're able to kind of come on a way where you're now telling them why they need you rather than why you need them, if you know what I mean. So when I say sharpening your skills, it's kind of making sure that you have something to offer a company, if you know what I mean. And of course, jobs are very different as well, but in kind of the field I'm in, the creative field, is more towards like just showing people like what you can do for them and why, or even like, so with everything going on in the world, so we have the protest, the Black Lives Matter movement and everything going on. One thing I've noticed that a lot of companies do not have enough black voices, if you know what I mean, and they need companies, they need individuals who are kind of people who are not outspoken, but people who will speak up, people who will share their experiences.
Fam.
Yeah, they need people who will rise up to the occasion. And the best thing you can really do is put yourself as someone who is going to be able to kind of bring, like, for example, connect the company to more young people and more black people and stuff like that. So yeah, since I started working, I came in already pitching for these things. I came in pitching for them to do their first Black History Month in the UK. So I've kind of always, so like when I came in, I already knew, like, and I guess maybe it's more of a passion that I'm able to bring into work, because for me, I've always kind of been for the advancement, like the whole reason behind the podcast and whatnot. So I already came in trying to help the brand get more connected to people like us, if you know what I'm saying. So being able to come in with an idea, and then when times like this come, you kind of have to rise up for the occasion. So just like when you're going into a company, you need to know what you're bringing to the table, whether it's your skills, your expertise in a certain area, if you have a community, if you have a following, if you have previous experience in doing something that the company may be better at. For example, you maybe in finance as well, being able to say like, I would love to help spearhead a mentorship program where we're helping younger kids get more into these spaces and stuff like that. Like you really do need to have like oomph and something that makes you stand out for the rest. And that's why when you say sharpening your skills, this is what I mean, like trying to put together your offering whenever you're applying for the job role.
Even off the back of what you just said, like I think a year after I was working, they had some work experience students in it. And I was thinking, I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, these people ain't really hungry though. Like, they're not really eager for this opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
How can you tell?
Fam, you can just tell, man. They're just there playing ping pong. Like, they're not getting active with the networking. They're not getting active with kind of asking for additional work. So obviously, I went to there was like an unstructured BAME committee in it, yeah. So I was like, listen, this is what I want to do. And I want to start going into schools, going into underprivileged schools specifically, right? And basically being a demonstration of coming from somewhere and not letting that define you, innit? So obviously, being the patriotic person that I am, yeah, I went back to my old sixth form first. And then I went back to one of my first sixth form that I went to that they kicked me out, innit? So I went back there, innit, yeah. And like, it's mad to see like young black individuals, yeah, especially, right? Young black individuals who have the potential, but they're just not aware of it. Because you can tell just from like the sort of questions that they're asking, how they're just attentive to what you're saying. And bro, like what I found, yeah, if you flip the script, right? So when I was in their position as a student, when like these people from these companies used to come and talk to me, and I didn't really listen at all. Because I just saw them as a bunch of squares. I was like, you can't relate to me at all. Yeah. But I thought the key difference is just being relatable. Yeah. Right? And obviously that's why they were so receptive to me. And I was just keeping it completely real. But if you then tie it back to the Black Lives Matter movement, right? And kind of what's been happening, there's so many companies that have been kind of sending out email communications and kind of saying how, you know, they don't support kind of racism and all that stuff, right? But then you can still kind of tie in the notion of relatability in it. So, for example, my company, right, we got an email, company-wide email, and obviously it said something to the words of, yeah, like we don't condone racism, blah, 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 we support the movement of Black Lives Matter. Yeah. Reading that, it did not nothing that was in that email resonated with me. So I was thinking, okay, what can I do here? So,
it's a very PR kind of
email, it was just a very standard vanilla email. So I sent 2 emails. I sent one to the London CEO, and then another one to the CEO of the company, London CEO, and one of my EDs, innit? Yeah. And I basically just said, look, I get it. It's a very vanilla email. It's very safe. I said, however, to me, as a black person reading that, it doesn't say anything. Yeah. So I said, what are you guys actually doing to support the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as eradicate not just racism as a whole, but institutional racism? And I think the challenge that these large companies are having of eradicating institutional racism is, one, because there's no one relatable in the senior leadership team. Yeah. And 2, bro, they don't have a Scooby, what's going on? Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So I remember, right, so my client, yeah, the head of the department, head of the division, asked me to kind of talk about the notion of Black Lives Matter, kind of what it aims to do and kind of my own experience. And it was for me, I thought, calm. I felt very privileged to do that, do you know what I'm saying? But I think it was on like a program ride call, so there's like 20, 30 plus people. And kind of when I was saying some of the things saying some of the things that I was saying, I could tell like some of these people some of these white people, they would feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's completely understandable because obviously for them it's like, raw, like this is actually an insight into kind of how black people live. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think I'm kind of going off on it, but let me go back on it. I'm just going off a tangent. But long story short, like I think like for us to really kind of make change, we need to start being relatable. So being in those positions where we can actually influence, but then also educate kind of our counterparts who do not necessarily look like us. Do you know what I'm saying?
But it's quite difficult. Like, imagine being like one of the few black people in your company.
Confidence.
And you have to,
confidence.
Yeah, but like,
okay, so
it's difficult.
Like the same way people believe in their drip, believe in your confidence.
Oh, it's different, man.
But
That's
all right,
different.
so that's interesting to hear. So I'm gonna say, kind of from my perspective. So I had to sit on a diversity and inclusion panel, and I sit on a diversity and inclusion panel on Thursday, and they asked me to share my experience of prejudice and racism in the UK. Or no, not even just in the UK, just in my life and in my family's life in general, which was the company trying to educate the staff. But I also done it with like a Korean guy and an Indian lady. They were also sharing their own experience as well, because obviously racism is not just faced by black people, understandably. But if you're having a conversation about Black Lives Matter, already having that panel wasn't already the best decision. So anyways, I'm now speaking in front of 300 people, and I'm having to open up and share my experience and a lot of things that I won't say traumatic and exaggerate, not even,
but they're quite deep.
To some people it might be traumatic, but obviously a lot of things are normalized. So I'm saying it, but to me it's also kind of taxing and also a huge use of my energy, because I'm actually reliving a lot of things. Do you know what I mean? I'm reliving a lot of crazy things that I've experienced, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So like, I understand with you saying confidence and believing in yourself, but also I feel like it's super important for people to really put up barriers to understand, like to just to protect yourself. Because at the end of the day, like even when we're talking about racism, we're talking about all this kind of prejudice and what people don't understand. And like, for example, I spoke about the imposter syndrome as being like young and black in a huge company and feeling as if like, what am I doing here and all these things. Like, it's easy for them to like unintentionally take advantage of you being black again, which is something we're used to, by them asking you to keep on speaking and open up and sharing. So what I had to actually say to my manager is like, listen, like, I could not make this one of my priorities. I'm happy to speak like when I feel comfortable to naturally, and I'm happy to share things, but I cannot make it one of my priorities because I'm going to drain myself of my energy, and it's very taxing on me, like having to speak to things. And also sometimes when you're speaking, and I didn't feel as if, to some people, I got a lot of good feedback from that panel, but I didn't exactly feel as if that was the best panel ever. Do you know what I mean? I felt leaving kind of worse off, if you know what I mean. I didn't feel happier. Do you know what I'm saying?
Did you think it made impact though?
To a lot of people, they came back with me with a lot of good positive feedback and stuff. So clearly it did. And also we have to remember, like, people hearing my story might actually open their eyes and stuff like that. But to me, it's kind of like I didn't. It was very short lived. It wasn't really like I managed to say everything I had on my chest or really go to a place where I felt was productive enough. But to some people, maybe you just need to hear it to feel kind of educated a bit more, to now really do further research and stuff like that. So maybe it is a process of kind of taking it in steps. And the first thing is sharing my experience, then sharing how they can be allies and stuff. But my own advice is to those people who are the only black people in those companies, like me, you have to be kind of able to set up boundaries that you're not just being asked to talk and talk and talk, so you can educate people. Like, there's Google, like, go do your own research if you want to be educated. There's blog posts, there's podcasts out here of people talking about the black experience as well. So also you have to be mindful that you're not once again being used
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Just like, do you know what I mean?
Being the
Because you're not getting paid
representative.
extra for it.
Exactly.
You're not getting paid extra for it. Like, yeah,
Would you do it if you got paid extra though?
To be fair, like, this is something that I want to do really and truly. I want to be able to help brands be more connected with black people. So I'm more than happy to show people their unconscious bias and forms of prejudice and how the system isn't really built for us. But really and truly, like, when I say I'm not being paid for it, I mean, like, it is extra work. So you also have to be very mindful, very respectful of your own time and your own, like, personal space. You can't really just attach, because being black as well is something personal to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone has their own kind of different experiences. So for you you're now kind of attaching that to work as well. And it's like, fuck, like, you have it outside work and now I'm bringing it into work. So sometimes you also got to make sure that you are putting things in place, or else you just really...
To kind of protect yourself.
Exactly. You do really have to protect. You know, I say all the time, like, guard your mind, you know what I'm saying? Because you can really get kind of drained by just having these conversations over and over again, and people saying we need you to educate us. No, they don't need you to educate. They're grown people. They educate themselves to get to the fucking job. So you don't need to be there to...
They can even see on social media, like, it's everywhere.
Exactly. So to be fair, like, that's just my advice anyways from my own experience.
So then that leads me on to my next question, right? What has kind of this period of lockdown taught you? Because there was so many things, bro.
So many things.
Sprinkle cake.
We had toilet roll.
Toilet roll.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's been crazy.
It's been very crazy. It's been a crazy 4 months. A very crazy 2020. But I feel like this is the year of real change, to be fair. So, like, change is always uncomfortable, like we always say. But my biggest learning is, firstly, it's super important to be an emotional leader. Actually, no. My biggest learning is it's important to be empathetic and have a level of emotional intelligence. Like, I'm not saying have the best emotional intelligence, but I mean being able to relate to people, being able to show people you understand their pain, or being able to sympathize with people. I feel like so much has happened in this lockdown that a lot of people, it's just showing me a lot of people lack. A lot of people are not nice people, do you know what I'm saying? And I'll be so real. A lot of people don't know how to empathize with one another. A lot of people don't know how to be nice. So you need to bloody learn. A lot of people don't know how to be nice to each other. A lot of people don't know how to, like, if someone is going through something, a lot of people don't know how to really be, not even just be there for them. They don't know how to show sympathy, show empathy, show that.
Is that for people outside or for people you know?
So even people I know, people outside, I see all the time a lot of crazy shit is going on in the world, and a lot of people don't act like they don't care or act because it doesn't affect them directly, or maybe people just don't know how to respond to things. So that's why I mean, like, people need to learn how to be empathetic. And first thing is, if you don't know what the word empathetic means, Google it. It means, like, being able to relate to one another and show care. Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, sorry to cut you. I think I can definitely relate to someone's pain, but empathy is something that I've always struggled with.
And that's because of the environment we all come from. We're not made to be soft or anything like that, but being empathetic doesn't make you soft.
It's important.
It's definitely important. It is, and that's the best way you can really relate to people and really have good friendships, good relationships with people, whether it's in work or whether it's outside work, whether it's personal relationships and whatnot, because it's such an important trait. And that's what everything has been going on, like, from the whole lockdown, from the whole pandemic, people dying in the whole pandemic, and then also having the Black Lives Matter, the protest, seeing that video of George Floyd, and seeing many more other crazy things going on to people that look like you. It has a huge burden. So I feel like this time has been so taxing on everyone's mental health. Do you know what I mean? Like, as soon as me and Brent saw each other, the first question is like, how's your physical and mental health? Do you know what I mean? Because we've all been through it. We've all had tough times. So, like, when it's time to be, when I say the most important thing that I've learned is it's important to be empathetic. It's important for people to know they have people there. Do you know what I'm saying? And then in the workplace as well, it's important to be an emotional leader as well. So when I say being emotional leaders, I'm not talking about being overly emotional or lovey-dovey and stuff like that, but I say being able to come down to a human level and really be able to kind of lead with emotion as well, and understand that you have actual people as employees. You don't have numbers, you don't have characters or whatever. You have actual people. You don't have screens or machines, you know what I mean? So when it's time to be an emotional leader, I mean, like, I saw some people, like, for example, the furlough was good. People still keeping on staff. We saw people extending things, being able to provide for the staff. We saw companies selling laptops, work desks and stuff like that, which is what I mean by being able to accommodate for your staff, showing them you care, showing them they're there, being able to check in with them frequently. So my organizational structure is kind of broken out into the UK. Then we have the wider Western Europe team. So I have my marketing director. Then I have like the vice president of marketing, and it's really showing me what a good leader is. Do you know what I mean? I'm being able to relate to my marketing director through him just checking in on me unfiltered, saying, how are you? Or like, what do you think of everything that's going on? And just having normal human conversations. And even when we're having team meetings as well, it's superhuman level. It's not, there's no really real barriers there. But when you're speaking to the VP, he comes with his decks, he comes with his slideshows, he comes with saying, okay, in order to our response to Black Lives Matter, this is what we're doing, this is and that. Before really having conversations to hear how people feel, to really create a safe environment for people to talk. Yeah. And that's what I mean by being an emotional leader, being able to understand that people have emotions, being able to cater for it as well, and really help them as well, whether they're feeling low, whether they're feeling confused, being able to create a safe place where people can come and feel that way and leave feeling different. So one thing I definitely want to do or do more of is try my hardest to be an emotional leader in any capacity I'm in, because I never want people to feel as if they're just a statistic or a number or whatever, if you know what I'm saying.
I think that's something that I unconsciously do. So at work, right, obviously I'm leading my team, and like we have a morning call, we have a midday like checkpoint call, but that's just more just banter in it. Everyone just has a moan. And at the end of the day, it's just say what's in your mind, do you know what I mean? And it's all unstructured. But the first thing I ask is like, okay, like, how's everyone feeling today? Everyone can just get it out there, have a quick moan, and then you kind of just re-collaborate your mind. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think I'll just do that just unconsciously. But I've definitely learned, like, kind of working from home this period has definitely taught me kind of what a good leader actually looks like. Do you know what I'm saying? And I've just been trying to just embody that as much as possible. Another thing that I've learned is that, like, bro, we got so much time. Like, we got so much time. Like, it's mad. And it's shocking, but people actually waste so much time. So, like, we have 24 hours in a day, fam.
It's true.
Like, fam, it's mad. I wake up at 7, bro. 7. I don't log on till about 9:30. So between the hours of 7 and 9, you can actually do a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, it's mad. You're kind of all that travel time, all that nonsense of like, of kind of waiting in queues to get a coffee and get a breakfast. It's crazy. You're logging off at like 5:36. From 6 to like 10, what's that, 4 hours? Or even 6 to 12, that's 6 hours. So much time. Like,
it's true.
I've been using it all.
Distracted, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I've been using it all. And this has taught me that you need to just be, as you say, like, be precious with where you allocate your time and energy to, fam, because it will just drain you and you won't make any progress.
I agree. And also one thing as well is finding balance.
100.
So in the whole lockdown, I've been searching for balance. At one point, I became a gamer. Like I said, at one point, I'm now going on drugs. So it's just finding the balance. So like you said, with the whole time, like we have so much time, and it's being able to find the balance of just living your life as well as just really being able to make sure you're spending your time the right way as well, if you know what I mean. So 100%. It's just, that's one thing I definitely learned as well, if you know what I mean.
What about personally? Like, obviously, in terms of working, careers and stuff like that, you've learned, you know, to be more compassionate, to be more emotional leader, or to manage your time better so you can kind of utilize all the hours in the day. But what about personally? Like, Shubbz, Lex, what have you learned?
Me personally, I'm gonna just say what's on my heart. Like, I've learned that life is too short.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, sadly, I lost my friend a month ago. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Chris.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, so I just learned that life is short. He was 23 as well, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And not to down anyone's mood, but it just shows that life is too short, but he lived a life that was definitely worth living.
He lived a life as well.
He enjoyed every moment of it.
Every
Chased
time
his
I
dream.
bucked him, because that guy always had a smile on his face. Showed everyone love.
Yeah, exactly. Showed everyone love. Was a nice guy. Went out of his way for people, and he left a great legacy. 100%. So for me personally, what I've learned, and I've had this believe because I lost a friend like 2 years ago as well,
Yeah.
and that showed me the meaning of legacy. So I just kind of once again it just came to me why I do what I do, why I kind of just go hard for what I want, and why I just try and be nice
1,000%.
to everyone I meet as well. Because
Yeah.
really and truly, what people remember is how you left them to feel, rather than what you gave them or anything like that. People remember you for who you are and the type of person you are and how you treat them. So for me, just understanding that life is too short, so have fun while you can. Obviously, find balance, like I said, and it's also just be nice to people, man. I feel like it's so key for people to be nice to people, and that's what I want to teach the young. That's what I want to teach everyone. I just feel like it's so important to be a decent human being, and so many people aren't. Like, I don't understand why it's so difficult.
It's
but
true.
once you take yourself out of just being for yourself and really thinking, how can I make the world a better place, like Chris tried to do and really did as well, in my opinion. So it's just that's kind of what I've learned, man. Just life is too short. Live it while you can. Chase your dreams while you're young, and try and go out with a bang for real.
No, word. One thing, like, just basically pretty much an echo of what Shubbz said, so I'm not even going to repeat that. But something else that I've learned is just, like, I guess become more resilient is just kind of like just mental strength in it. So, like, usually if I'm having a bad day, like, I'll just go to the gym. Gym's my therapy. Like, as soon as I'm pushing the iron, I'm calm, like nothing can bother me. But obviously throughout this lockdown period, it's just like, it's just been frustrating because obviously gym has been taken out of the equation. It's like, cool, like, what can I do? I can only play so much games. I can only mash so much work. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. So I kind of just, stewed in my own thoughts and just addressed it. Do you know what I mean?
I've become a self-care activist. Like, my whole life right now is taking care of my physical and mental health. Like,
That's
really and
right.
truly.
Yeah.
Like you said, doing a whole lockdown has been mentally taxing. Do you know what I mean? Like, so much has gone on as well during the whole lockdown. So for me, like, bro, I even started therapy. So one day we'll talk about the importance of that. But that's been very helpful for me as well. And it's just like, I took the step to make sure that I'm actually taking care of myself. Do you know what I mean? Because really and truly, like, there's so much going on in the world that if you're not able to handle it or deal with it, like, the best way you can kind of just get super overwhelming. Do you know what I mean? And like, the reason why I started therapy was because, like, you need kind of someone to talk to and kind of just lay it all down, and being able to kind of maybe reflect to that person. And a therapy is the person who's actually certified for that. Like, it's great speaking to family and friends as well, but sometimes you kind of need that person who doesn't really know you that much, but you're just kind of letting things in, and they're just inquisitive, asking why you do what you do and how this affected you and stuff like that. So yeah, man, me too, I've become a self-care activist.
It's important.
The therapy is free as well, so there's so much online that you can just kind of check. All I had to do was just Google it. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I definitely would subscribe it to anyone who's kind of feeling overwhelmed. Actually, it's called TheMix. So if you Google them, it's called TheMix. And there's also BlackMindsMatter as well for if you want a black therapist as well. They're doing free sessions right now. So I'll definitely implore everyone to kind of check it out as well, because like we said, your mental health is super important, and with everything going out in the world, even though we're kind of coming back into the normal life, there's so much that's gone on that we might have not unpacked, and that's kind of still affecting us till today. So
yeah, definitely. I was gonna say, sorry, fam.
Go
Cool.
on.
I was gonna say, it's off the back of what you said as well about, like, living every day like it's your last. Like, there's actually no one predicted a pandemic was gonna happen. Like, there was no way you were gonna prepare for a pandemic, and it's almost like just reiterating the fact that literally one day you're here, next day something can happen, and it's just like it's crazy, like, how things can just change in a second, and it's just a reminder that you just need to live every day like it's your last. You give it your all in anything you do. So yeah, that's also what I've learned.
Exactly.
Like,
that's good.
with my business and stuff like that, and like with uni and stuff like that. It's just giving it all my all, basically.
No,
but
that's exactly it. No, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah, we're all living on borrowed time, so let's just make the most of it while we can.
Yeah.
100.
Quickly, Alex, I have a question for you. what is your advice for all the new graduates? And congratulations to everyone who just graduated. Congrats, Remy.
Yay!
Congrats,
I'm
Remy.
finished.
For all the new grads, as you said, innit? Like, think of being a solution provider as opposed to being a cog in the machine. Don't think of how you can help continue the process. Like, try and be disruptive. You can break the process and recreate it to make it much more efficient, much more streamlined, and do that. Develop your confidence in speaking up, because for those who are kind of starting a grad scheme, right? Going into these organizations, it can be very, very scary. Fam, they're no bigger than you, my bro.
They're really not. And this is one thing I said. Everyone's winging it. Everyone's winging it.
100. Even
your managers, your marketing directors, everyone's winging it. Because when the pandemic came, they were winging it because they didn't know what the fuck to do.
100.
When Black Lives Matter came, they still don't have a Scooby, 100%. So they're all winging it. Do you know what I mean? So never be too hard on yourself. Like, no one's perfect.
100%. And like, metal sharpens metal. Like, always try and maintain that steep learning curve for yourself. Whether it's reading a small piece of information, whether it's increasing your emotional intelligence, whether it's increasing your leadership skills or team building skills. Do you know what I'm saying? You have a part to play. Do you know what I'm saying? And just do that to the best of your ability. To the best of your ability. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's dope. I'll say mine is just be patient, man. Just work with time. Like, no one's got it all figured out. You're not gonna get everything straight away. Some people get it quicker than you. Some people it might take some time. But just don't put too much of a mental strain on yourself. Don't be too difficult. Don't be too hard on yourself. So just take it as it comes. Try to have fun with it. Try to try new things as well to see what you enjoy. Because like I said, I wanted to be in finance. I wanted to be in suits like Alex, and now I'm in marketing, and I'm loving it. So just keep on trying different things.
Yeah. As a graduate, that's really nice to hear, I can't lie. Because honestly, like, it's a struggle for me to find, like, because I'm in the legal field. So I'm looking for TCs, I'm looking for like entry level law jobs so that I can go to law school at the same time. And it's difficult, especially with this climate. Like,
don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah,
it's gonna take time. It's not just gonna come like that. So just keep on doing what you're doing. And like we always say, consistency compounds. So just keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you, guys.
But thanks again for watching, guys.
Yeah, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Extremely happy to be back in the studio.
Yeah, man.
With these new settings.
New seats, fam. Upgrade. But make sure you like, subscribe, follow on Insta and all that good stuff. Twitter, Facebook. Do you know what I'm saying? For
and we've
old
got...
fogies. Was that too mad to say?
What did you say?
Oh, it says for all you old fogies that use Facebook, basically.
No.
But yeah, man, like, if you want to reach out to us, then just drop us a DM.
And we've got a lot of exciting guests lined up for you guys as well. Man. So we can't wait for you to see. We've been putting in work, so we've got a lot of exciting episodes coming.
Definitely.
Thank you guys for still listening to us and hearing us speak and just say things that we think might help people. But like, share, subscribe, like Alex said. And remember, always focus on things that move the needle. Actually,
Word of the
week.
Yeah.
I was just about to say.
Resilience.
Okay.
Word of the week is resilience, because this has been a very turbulent period. A lot of people have experienced various different issues. Do you know what I'm saying? And obviously lockdown has affected us in many different ways. But obviously, like, you know, you always kind of come out better. Come out the other end better. So resilience is the word of the week.
What? You just ended it?
All right, that's it, guys. Thank you for listening once again. You heard the word of the week is resilient. So wishing you all a great productive week, and make sure you stay resilient and you stay strong.
Bow.